Okay, I'm going to show you how to set up all the materials and get started on the Environments and Survival Lesson 1.4. Now, certainly the Google Slides or PowerPoint slides give you direction. However, playing the actual game and making those connections, this video hopefully will be helpful to you. First and foremost, this card is not found in your kit. You actually have to print it off from the Amplify website. So you've got two cards. You've got environment number 1 and you have environment number 2. I went ahead and double-sided mine just because it seemed more effective to do that, so they could just flip it and we could save paper. So you need those two environment cards. You also need to copy the food cards and the water cards. Okay, and those you can also find in the Amplified curriculum that goes along with this lesson online. It is not in the kit. Okay, each pair of students is also going to need the survival model grid. Okay, so once you have the environment, the food and water cards, environment cards, and the survival model grid, then you can go into your kit. And in the kit, you will find a cup, you will find the playing pieces, and you will find these chips. Okay, so this particular part of the game is in the kit. All right, so each pair of students is then going to get all of those materials. They're going to place their food cards here, they're going to place their water cards here, and then with their survival model grid, they're going to take 10 of these chips. Okay, they're going to start off with 10, and they're going to place them on their grid. Okay, so you're going to do it like so. Place 10 of those chips on the grid, and again, it can go either way. So if you, again, have 5 going across, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to be able to get all the chips going across. So there's your 10 chips, okay? Now, I'm going to pull that over here while we're doing it. Now, in order for us to play, you're going to set up your pawns here where it says start here, okay? And again, keep in mind that this is environment number 1. Now, as teachers, you're going to notice that with environment number 1, there are 1, 2, 3 owls, okay? So 3 predators in this environment, but there are tons of water and food cards. So the probability that the red squirrels are going to thrive in this environment is high, okay? So then you go on to actually play the game. Now, each time you collect a food card and a water card, then you can, and you've collected that, you can actually trade it in, and then you can add a squirrel to the population. So each one of these chips then stands for a squirrel. So we're starting off with 10 squirrels in our population. So that being said, you also need to have your die. So you can roll your die, and you roll the die just like you would in any board game. Okay, and when I roll it, I got a 5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to collect a food card. Okay, and then my opponent is going to go, and my opponent starts here, and my opponent lands on the owl. Now, if you land on the owl, you have to remove one of your tokens because one of those squirrels has died because the owl ate them, and you have to put it back into the cup. So I took one of those tokens, I put it back in the cup. Okay, now it's my turn to go again, and I get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to take a food card. Okay, then I'm going to roll the die again, and my opponent's going to go. My opponent got 1. My opponent has a water card. Now, we can take the food and water card, okay? Since we have those combined, we can put them back here, and now we can actually add another squirrel to our survival model grid. So we're back up to 10 squirrels. So we keep playing the game, okay? So now I get to go 2, 1, 2. I collect a water card. Okay, I'm thriving. There's lots of food and water in this environment. And we got a food card from my opponent. So again, we trade that in, and we get another squirrel in our population. So now our squirrel population is up to 11. So we continue to go, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got a food card over here, and then play it again. We got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Uh-oh, got eaten by an owl. So that means we have to take one of our squirrels, dump it back in the cup there. Okay, and the idea is you're playing this 5 rounds. So you're going around 5 times. After you have been around 5 times, then you are going to count the number of squirrels that you have. And just based on what I observed from my class doing this the first time, they had this entire grid filled in. And obviously they need to infer that they've had this entire grid filled in because the squirrels are thriving in this particular environment, okay? Because there's lots of food and water and there is not as many predators. Now, you may have some kids that go, oh, I ran out of food cards, I ran out of water cards. You still keep playing the game until you've accomplished 5 rounds, okay? Then, after you've accomplished 5 rounds, the kids are going to record on their paper, they are going to record how many squirrels they had in their ending population. Okay, so in their ending population, and again, a lot of my kids had like 30 total squirrels, or 35, some had 27. So you're going to have different data, obviously, but then that data will be used later on to input on a chart or a graph. So you put your ending population here. Then they flip this to environment 2. And once they are environment 2, they start to notice some things. Well, wait a minute, what are these blank spots for? Okay, well, obviously there's less food and water available to the red squirrel population. And wait a minute, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 owls. And we only had 3 owls in environment 1. So in environment 2, we have 3 times the amount of owls, which means we have 3 times as many predators. So what is the likelihood? We can infer that the likelihood of survival is going to be a lot less in environment number 2. Okay, so we have our food cards, we have our water cards, and we begin to play the game again. You start here, okay, you roll the die, you go around 5 times. Okay, 5 times around, you record each time how many total squirrels you have in your ending population there. Now, keeping in mind that the likelihood of you having many is not there. And I already had a couple of students that came to me, well, wait a minute, Mrs. Cobb, we don't have, we went extinct. We don't have any squirrels. Well, what happens when you're in an environment in which there are a lot of predators and not enough food and water? Well, that in fact is the problem that ends up coming to be, is that the animals can go extinct. Extinction is a possibility, okay? So then essentially the game ends, okay? All right, so after you have done that and you have your starting and ending population, okay, you have your starting population is the same and your ending population is obviously going to be substantially different in environment 2 than it is in environment 1. What I did was I added the section where they have their think, pair, write, pair, share. What makes red squirrels more likely or less likely to survive? So they have to think about the question, they have to record their ideas. Why were the red squirrels more likely to survive in environment 1 and less likely to survive in environment 2? This is where your key vocabulary comes into play. Because the owls were the predators and they did not have enough food and water in the second environment and they had 3 times as many predators, so the likelihood of them surviving was a lot less. End of lesson. Have fun.